the gap, standing for Jesus. Standing in the gap for family and friends. Standing in the gap, one love for all, so we all can make it in.
We've done with our broadcast is we want to keep you guys up on current events, on things that are happening in the world and how they affect us and affect our beliefs and our so that we don't stray far away from it. Where God put us here in this world, He so loved the world, He put us in the midst of it, and He's given us the tools to operate in it. So we need to stay up on current events. So this part of the broadcast, we call it the Gap News. And Marvel is in charge of Gap News, and she's got something she's excited about. So I'm going to turn it over to Marvel. Marvel, what you got?
Well, we're on the evangelicals, and I saw the most exciting, I think it's the most exciting interview I've seen in a long time. You all know Joy Reid from MSNBC. She had one of the women from, actually the founder of the Moms for something or another. We'll see it in a minute, but just watch this.
LGBTQ parents and parents of LGBTQ kids, do they have parental rights?
Every parent, Joy. Every parent means every parent has the fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children.
And liberal parents? Do liberal parents have those rights as well?
All parents, sure.
So let me point you to some statistics, sure. Because the question becomes then who gets to decide what all kids get to read. The Washington Post took a look at about 1,000+ book challenges that were filed, and they found that they were filed nationwide by just 11 people. Each of these people brought 10 or more challenges against books in their school district. Together, these serial filers constituted 6% of all book challengers, but they were responsible for 60% of filings. In Florida, Tampa Bay Times, they found that of roughly 1,100 complaints recorded in Florida since July 2022, we're talking about more than 700 just from two counties, Escambia in the Western Panhandle and Clay County. Together, those are less than 3% of the public school enrollment, 600 of those complaints, 2 people. Why should 13 people get to decide what books tens of thousands of children get to read?
Well, I'm thinking it's probably because those 13 people saw what some of the content was in the books. I mean, explicit, graphic, sexual content. And I'm happy to talk about some of that content if you'd like to.
Well, this is the question again. The books that are being banned, I want to give you just some...
No books are being banned.
No, hold on a second.
Well, no, Joy, but I want to be clear. No
Uh-huh.
one's banning books. Write the book, print the book, publish the book, put the book in the public library, sell the book, right? We're talking about a public school library. Mm-hmm. Children don't have unfettered access to the internet at school. Mm-hmm. I did a FOIA records request, and I wanted to see what kinds of internet sites are banned in schools, if we're going to talk about banning, right? Mm-hmm. And the subject matter in the books that moms are concerned about are the same things that kids don't have access to on the internet. So it just feels very hypocritical, right? No, why is no one out there protesting for, free the internet in schools?
Let me give you an example of some of the books that have been removed from shelves as a result of the activities of organizations like Moms for Liberty.
We're not going to talk like Moms for Liberty. We're going to talk specifically
Moms for Liberty.
Absolutely.
So
I'm happy to have this conversation with you, Joy.
Absolutely.
But we're going to be specific about the actions of Moms for Liberty chapters.
100%.
Because I can't be possibly responsible for every single parent in America.
But your organization is the lead. You're the leading organization that's doing this. You have chapters all over the country, and other organizations are following your lead. And PEN America has listed, they have posted the list of books that have been removed from shelves as a result of these activities. So let me just read you a couple of them. Anne Frank's A Diary of a Young Girl. Mouse, which is a book about the Holocaust, a graphic novel. Genderqueer, a memoir. All Boys Aren't Blue. Beloved, Martin Luther King Jr. and the March on Washington. Ruby Bridges Goes to School. Slaughterhouse-Five, The Color Purple, Forever by Judy Blume. I could go on. These are books that are not only popular, in some cases are classics. Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Let me give you an example.
Well, I'd like to answer your question.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just just mentioned a list of books. And so Moms for Liberty doesn't have like a national book list. There was never a list of books that we put out and said, parents, be concerned about these books, right? We didn't do it because we want our parents to be effective advocates. So when moms are going into the libraries and the schools, when they're seeing what their children have access to, when they go to speak to the superintendent or the principal, they have accurate information, right? They're
and where are they
effective
getting their
advocates.
information from?
You can just go online to a catalog in your children's library, and you can see what
without
books are
reading
available.
the books. What is what is one moment? What is booklooks.com?
I'm aware of a website called booklooks.com where parents can go and see some of the books that other parents are concerned about.
Booklooks.com has been used in Florida extensively in counties like, I used to live in Broward County. I lived there for 14 years.
Okay.
In counties like Broward, counties like Clay, counties like Escambia, Moms for Liberty activists are using booklooks.com. And it's essentially a cliff notes for books.
Yeah.
So you go through without even having to read the book. I'm going to just hold it up so our audience can see what it looks like. This is the one for All Boys Aren't Blue, which is one of the books Moms for Liberty has pushed
Everyone
to have
should
removed.
go and see the content in this book. That's such a good idea.
And so what
Joy.
happens is you can do keyword searches and find certain keywords.
Like rape?
You can find sure.
Or anal rape or dildo.
You can find
those,
all sorts
those
of
types
keywords.
of words. But like,
wait, hold on, wait. Let me finish my question.
Okay,
Then
great,
you can answer.
sure.
I'm going to give you time to answer, but I got to ask you first.
No, yeah, I got the question.
And so what you find is the keywords that you find, the N-word, anything, words like you just used, then you'll get out of context passages from the book. And then based on that, Moms for Liberty members are going to places like Broward County School Board meetings, reading out of context passages from these books, and then demanding that the school board remove them.
So what's
that is the way.
Yeah.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for
do.
you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No,
wait,
we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name of the
remembered
author
very
doesn't.
specific names.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about
Here's my question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your
Great.
question.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation. Okay,
great.
So what I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
This book is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience. Why is it your right or a Moms for Liberty activist's right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author, why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So, again, we're talking about incest, rape, and pedophilia.
And each parent, each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask you one more time. What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof of that is what?
You just said that if a child feels seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
you're now making assumptions about it.
Joy, but if a child has been raped, we should do a lot better than put a book on a library
You're literally
shelf.
creating a story behind a child that you don't know. Let me show you a form. This is a form that can be obtained in Broward County, Florida.
Okay.
I'm going to show it to the audience, and then I'm going to show it to you. Okay. This is called the opt. Yeah, please. I'm going to hand it to you. Thank you so much. It's called the opt-out form.
Okay.
An opt-out form would allow any parent, because you said you are in favor of parental rights.
I am.
It would allow any parent to opt out of their child being able to take books out of the library without their parents' permission.
Okay.
So that Moms for Liberty, why not advocate that every school in America have an opt-out form so that a parent who doesn't want their child to access a book like All Boys Aren't Blue,
right,
that they can make that choice? Because then each parent, including a liberal parent, a black parent, a parent who wants their child to read a book about African-American history, then
we
want
want children to read books.
Why not just
African-American
opt
history,
out for yourself rather than tell other parents what they can and cannot?
First of all, I think what you're talking about here is a wonderful step in the right direction. We should be having conversations about this. This is about local control. A lot of these decisions are made at the local school board level, and that's where these decisions should be made. And there should be vibrant conversations about what's happening in our public schools and what kids have access to. Joy, however, maybe we could just put all the books with all the graphic sexual content, the dildos, the rape, the incest.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Let's do a back room.
Excuse me.
Let's put a curtain up in the library
First of all,
they used
hold
to
on.
do.
One moment.
Remember when we were little and you would go to the video store?
The books that Moms for
and they
Liberty.
put those
the books that Moms for Liberty.
With pornography.
I know that I've seen.
We could just do that in the public library.
I have seen tapes of what Moms for Liberty does, and you all go into school board meetings and you read graphic stuff.
Disingenuous conversation.
No, it's not.
America used to understand that there was something called age-appropriate content.
Right, and here's my question again. Again. Ruby Bridges Goes to School is on the list of books that Moms for Liberty has attempted to have removed.
Absolutely not.
It absolutely is. Let me ask about the people who are making the decision for other parents, because you have not answered yet why a liberal parent or an African-American parent can't say,
we have parents who are Democrats who are members of our organization.
But you're still trying to make decisions for all the kids. Here are some of the parents that are filing, or some of your advocates. Bridget Ziegler, the Moms for Liberty co-founder, the wife of the recently ousted Florida Republican Party chairman, Christian Ziegler, who allegedly was involved in threesomes, same-sex threesomes. Mrs. Ziegler was removed from the school board at which she was a leader. You've had
she wasn't removed from the school board.
Okay, you have Lauren DePaula. She was making book ban requests in Alachua County, but then records show that she and her husband didn't live there. They'd sold their home in that county. Carrie Blair in Tennessee, who was arrested for property theft charges after allegedly stealing from Target, skip scanning in Target. Why should those three people get to make decisions about what other children should be able to read? Other parents' children should be able to read.
Do you know that I served as a school board member from 2016 to 2020?
Are you going to answer my question?
Yeah, I'm
because
going to.
we don't have an endless time.
Joy, I'm going to answer your question, but I need you to understand that when I was an elected representative, I would sit on that dais. And how dare I, sitting there as an elected representative, judge a parent when they would come to the podium to speak and advocate for their child? Because as we started this conversation, we'll end it. Every parent has a fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children. And I would not stand in judgment,
let us end on a point of agreement.
About a parent's education level, their sexual orientation, their race, their religion. That is not what America is about.
I'm going to answer. I'm going to ask my question, Ms. Justice. Mrs. Justice.
Thank you.
If a parent believes that their child should be able to read Ruby Bridges,
we believe that that children should be able to read.
Then
Bridget,
how can Moms
American
for Liberty
hero.
insist that the school board take that book away and then say that a parent who wants the child to be able to read it must purchase it? That's essentially putting a tax on parents who want their children to read the book. Your kids get to have books for free that you agree with, but children who want to read, or parents who want their children to read books you don't like, have to purchase it. That doesn't sound
Joy,
fair.
Did you know that in the city that we're sitting in, only a quarter of children are reading on grade level?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And so while we're having this conversation about books in libraries, two things should be happening.
That's a great point.
We should be talking about literacy rates and the fact that America's kids are not learning how to read, and we should be having vibrant conversations about what books should be in libraries.
Wow. Wow.
Why do you say wow? Why do you say wow?
Well, I say wow because Joy and this Mrs. Justice were really going at it. And I have to point out to you all, Moms for Liberty is the same organization that activated throughout the nation. I know there was a lot of discussion about it here in Cincinnati area with school board. They were putting school board candidates up who were from their organization, who were all about banning books like Ruby Bridges Goes to School, like Martin Luther King. I mean, some of the books which are classics, The Bluest Eye, The Color Purple, these are classic novels, and they have had them banned. And when I found out that it was like 6% of the people had made 60% of the book ban request. I mean, what is that? Is that democratic at all?
Well, I tell you the truth. The bottom line is some books should not be presented to kids. I do understand that, and but they seem to go overboard because I even saw one one wanted them to take the Bible out because see, I mean, if you look in the Bible,
Well, there's sex in the Bible for sure.
there's sex in the Bible. There's war in the Bible. There's genocide in the Bible. There's homosexuality in the Bible and all that kind of thing. So if you enforced it by the letter of what they're doing or asking, you wouldn't even put the Bible in there. So
Well,
they seem to go overboard on it, um, and I think that's a good kickback against it. The only thing about it is, I always want in these discussions let people talk. I mean, they both are interrupting each other,
they sure were.
and you know, it sounds just like an argument. But other than that, I think it makes a good, clear point.
And we've got some people online with us. I'd love to see any feedback that you all have or any thoughts that you have about a very small minority of people making decisions about what all the children's parents or all the parents' children can have access to. And then the other thing, it was very interesting, some of the people who are leaders in that organization um, are not exactly stand up, folks that should, that I certainly wouldn't want some of those ladies, the thief or the lady that, is having threesomes with her husband, and apparently against that woman's will. I wouldn't want them telling anybody what they should do. So I'm looking, I don't see any comments from anybody yet. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about that, honey?
Well, I will because it does kind of flow into what we're going to talk about today about evangelists, the evangelists, because um, a lot of those people claim to be evangelicals, and so and they take we're going to get into what all that's about, and so we're going to let you decide. But we're going to give you information. We always want to give you the information that you need so that you can make a rational, clear choice and decision about things. So you're not just operating off ignorance. So thank you. Gap News. All right. Well,